How's it going, everybody? I am Jason of Jason's Realm here, and today I am here bringing you guys our NFL Week 13 recap video. Now, for those of you guys that did not watch the stream on Sunday night and probably Monday, I did make mention of the fact that Monday Night Football is no longer, at least for the time being, going to be included in this series, just because of the way my class schedule is and everything like that. I feel like I'm rushing too much, and I want to provide you guys the best content that I can. So in order to make the content better, I have to cut some of it back, unfortunately. But hopefully over winter break, I don't have to do that. But anyway, let's just go ahead and jump right into this, shall we? We have the Thursday Night Football game where the Buffalo Bills beat the New England Patriots 24-10. During that game, New England jumped out to an early lead, but Buffalo just came crashing down. Josh Allen didn't look great, but he did just enough. Meanwhile, Mac Jones on the other side, he was not looking too great. His limitations were on full display. Up next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Atlanta Falcons 19-16. It was a close game throughout on both sides. Pittsburgh ended up prevailing, and they're trending up. Kenny Pickett's looking solid. The team looks like they're gelling and humming along. It's just they're ruining their draft capital, but they're looking good. And this game could do Atlanta in, though, for their playoff hopes, especially if Tampa Bay wins tonight or tomorrow night or whatever Monday Night Football. If they win on Monday Night Football, then that will be a huge, huge game for Atlanta. Atlanta if Tampa Bay loses. Or if Tampa Bay wins, they could almost do in Atlanta's hopes. Up next, we have a awful game between the Denver Broncos and the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens winning this one 10-9. Baltimore struggled early, Denver fell off late, and it just was ugly. Denver was able to contain, but they did not have an offense at all. Meanwhile, Baltimore, they fell off without Lamar Jackson, and he could be out for days to weeks with his injury. So we'll have to see what happens with that, but that could screw the Baltimore Ravens over the next couple weeks down the stretch, maybe making them a wild card team instead of a division winner. Up next, we have the Green Bay Packers beating the Chicago Bears 28-19. Green Bay was able to outlast the final push from the Bears to secure the win, and they're trying to stay alive. They're still mathematically in it, but it's not likely that they make the playoffs. Meanwhile, Chicago didn't look good. Hopefully Fields will be back to full strength and being able to look like himself next week. Not sure how it's going to go, though. Up next, we have a surprise blowout between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Detroit Lions. The Lions winning this game 40-14. Goff was very efficient early, able to secure the win for the Lions late, and the Jags just had nothing going. Jacksonville was unable to take advantage of any opportunities given to them, only scoring 14 points. Meanwhile, Detroit is looking really good, and they are in the playoff picture for a potential late season push to try to make the playoffs and make some noise. Up next, we have the return of Deshaun Watson, the Cleveland Browns beating the Houston Texans 27-14. Houston made it a game early when it was 7-5, but ultimately Cleveland was able to escape with the win. Deshaun Watson didn't look good. He was struggling. And is this man the same man that Cleveland traded for, or are they going to struggle? Houston's hungry for a win. They were fighting for it, but unfortunately they were unable to secure it, and as a result, they are eliminated from playoff contention. Also forgot to mention the Chicago Bears are also eliminated. Up next, we have the New York Jets falling to the Minnesota Vikings 27-22. Minnesota was able to outplay the Jets at any point and outplay them and fight them off late in the game when the Jets tried pushing back. Mike White looked all right, but it seems like he's just a one-game wonder every season. He comes out for one game, dominates, and then runs back away for the winner. Meanwhile, Minnesota is close to clinching a playoff spot. They should clinch the NFC North next week with just a win or a Detroit loss. So either of those should happen. Up next, we have a game we haven't seen in a while. A Washington Commanders tying effort against the New York Giants at 20 apiece. It was a close game from start to finish, but the offense was unable to do anything by the end of the game. The tie helps the Giants as they were in free fall. So if tie stops it, basically makes this week not happen. Meanwhile, it hurts Washington because they've been playing so well recently. They should have won that game. Up next, we have the Tennessee Titans falling to the Philadelphia Eagles 35-10. Philadelphia just dominated throughout, and Tennessee just shut up and took it. Philadelphia should be able to clinch next week. They were unable to due to the previous tie because San Francisco won, and so did Seattle. They needed both of those teams to lose, and that did not happen. But Tennessee is hurt by the loss, but they should still be able to make the playoffs, especially with the Colts loss on Sunday Night Football, because the AFC South is just so weak this year, as it usually seems to be. Up next, we have a surprisingly close game between the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams were able to hang around, but Seattle was able to persevere and get the game-winning touchdown. Seattle was able to keep their playoff hopes alive with a win, especially given the situation in San Francisco. They really have a decent chance of winning the division now. And Wolford, he's not the backup, but neither is Bryce Perkins. Help us, we don't have a backup quarterback. Perkins had 2 ints, 4 sacks for 30 yards, and no touchdowns. That's not a good quarterback. That's not good play at all. It's a huge issue for the Rams moving forward. But ultimately, I'm happy with the effort they put up, being able to keep it that close. Well, speaking of the Niners, up next, we have the Miami Dolphins falling to the San Francisco 49ers, 33-17. It was a close game in the first half, but Brock Purdy was able to open it up for the Niners in the second half, where they owned the Dolphins. Jimmy Garoppolo is out for the season because of this game, suffering a foot injury, broken foot. And how is San Francisco going to continue? I mean, they got Brock Purdy now as the quarterback. You can't rely on Trey Lance. You can't rely on Jimmy Garoppolo. Now you're looking at Brock Purdy. And we don't know what this guy is made of. You have to remember, he's a Mr. Irrelevant for a reason. He was the last pick in the draft this last year. He was that for a reason. So I'm not sure how the Niners will go forward. I mean, in a class where your best quarterback out of it so far would have to be probably Kenny Pickett, because he's the only one that's played this year that I can think of offhand from this draft. That's not a high bar for your quarterbacks. Meanwhile, it was an awful game for Miami, but their playoff hopes are still alive in that AFC tight picture. Up next, we have the Kansas City Chiefs falling to the Cincinnati Bengals, and it was a close game. Cincinnati jumping out to an early lead, but Kansas City trying to rally late, but unable to do enough. Cincinnati keep on going. They're keeping their division hopes up to win the division, especially given the situation in Baltimore, as discussed earlier. But Kansas City will still be fine. They'll still make the playoffs. Don't worry. But they might not have the number 1 seed. They might not have the bye in the first round. Up next, we have the Los Angeles Chargers falling to the Las Vegas Raiders 27-20. It was a tight game throughout, but Vegas was able to prevail at the end when it counted and shut down the Chargers. The Chargers' playoff hopes are starting to fade. They haven't been playing really strong recently, so I'm not sure if they're going to be able to make that late season push. Meanwhile, the Raiders looking solid, not looking like a playoff team this year, but I'd say the future is bright in the Sin City. Don't get your hopes down. The Vegas will be back soon, if they can keep playing like this. And last but not least, we have the Indianapolis Colts falling to the Dallas Cowboys 54-19. It was a close first half, but then Dallas just blew the door off the hinges in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, scoring, 33 points in the fourth quarter? Let's double check here. I think it was 33 points. Let me double check the box score here, but it should have been 33 points in that fourth quarter. Yep, 33 points in the fourth, which is just insane. Indianapolis is now in deep trouble as they are close to 3 back with 5 games to go. So they're probably not going to make the playoffs. They have a chance to potentially be well, not quite eliminated, but I think the Titans will have a chance to come really close to clinching, if not clinching, next week. We'll have to wait for the actual things to come out, but that's where it's looking. Meanwhile, Dallas is looking good. They won't win the NFC East because the Eagles exist, but they're going to look good for a number 5 seed. They should make it past the wild card round because they're going to be playing the winner of the NFC South. The way that division is this year, it's a laughingstock. It's basically like a bye. But yeah, I guess with that, that is our Week 13 recap. If you guys liked, don't forget to smash like, smash subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I guess with that, we'll see you guys. I'm not sure if this is going up Monday. We'll see you guys tonight for Monday Night Football. If this is going up Tuesday, we will see you guys tomorrow for our power rankings. And I guess with that, we'll see you guys later. Peace out and have a good one.